Hi, my name is Chris Burgess, and this is an overview of my work managing the musical creative direction and composing staff for the Guild Wars 2 Icebrood Saga from 2019 to 2021 at ArenaNet. The composers I worked with included Stan Lepard, Brendan Williams, McLean Deemer, Brian Atkinson, and Gary Scheiman. The Icebrood Saga was a series of 8 releases over 2 years that introduced 2 new main villains, Bengar, a Char military leader, and Jormag, a telepathic elder dragon. As the season's release roadmap became clear, we knew we would be supporting 4 releases a year, 1 every 3 months. I worked with the audio director to establish a music budget, which came out to 15 minutes of in-game music per release. I also worked with the marketing department and got them to pay for original music for each release trailer. I felt this would be important to the season's branding outside the game while not detracting from the total minutes of music in the game. Early in the production of each release, I would get playtest captures of the story missions and watch them like a film. I would spot where the music should start and stop, as well as pulling reference music to edit to picture and help inform the tonal and scope needs. Spotting the level myself, along with music requests from designers, coalesced into a holistic picture of what music we would need for each release. This was also when we would decide how music should be implemented for an encounter. Often working with our technical sound designer, Keenan Sieg, I could request how music should perform in an encounter with starts, stops, branches, stingers, etc., and he could set up preliminary hooks in our proprietary tools so that we could drop music into the build upon delivery of works in progress. Each piece of music would use a music request form I created. This form included a delivery schedule, scene description, tonal description, reference music, implementation requirements, and any specific visual beats music should hit in the cases of linear work. I would fill out the production and more technical portions of this document, while the music requester would fill out the creative and emotional sections of the form. I would then edit their draft to ensure the language would be clear to a composer. In the case someone said, "Make it feel purple," or more edgy, I would get them to elaborate with synonyms and dramatic terms until I found a nugget that I thought would be a clearer piece of direction for the composer. Music reviews involved getting whips into the build or posting music over a video capture and sending out that capture to relevant stakeholders. After collecting everyone's notes, editing or translating any vague ideas to more musical or dramatic terms, I would send these notes back to the composer to keep them unblocked. My main goal in the iteration stage was to remove my own opinions from the equation and be a conduit between devs and composers. My job was to investigate notes like, "I don't like this piece of music," by asking a few more questions like, "What don't you like? Where don't you like? Can you point it out to me?" This often led to the realization that the listener didn't like 1 or 2 moments or even a specific sound across a 2 to 3 minute piece of music. This saved us lots of time and stress by creating notes that were much more targeted and easy to address rather than a composer expending mountains of effort by starting over. I created a new delivery spec for our composers, which standardized loudness, naming conventions, and more importantly, requested stems rather than only a stereo mix, which is all we had done previously. These stems allowed me to edit alternate arrangements of the music and stretch the use cases of a single deliverable. Immediately, I would render a percussion only and a no percussion mix. From there, it was really case by case with each piece of music in regards to what alternate arrangements could be made that were still musical. Often, I was able to extract additional stingers, score cinematics, and create cut downs, which let us score smaller, dramatic story moments in-game. The alternate arrangements were also critical to supporting open-world meta events in Guild Wars 2, which were often 45 minutes of straight player combat. We discovered that we really only wanted a piece of music to loop 2.5 times before we were sick of it, and with only 11 minutes of combat music for an entire release, we had to find creative ways to stretch our budget to support these extended encounters. Each track provided roughly 2 alternate arrangements at least, which means 60 composed minutes of music per year ended up stretching in many cases to 240 minutes of music per year. I personally wish we had had more budget to pay for more minutes of music, but in a pinch, this technique certainly helped us achieve more coverage over a broad MMORPG. This was a really fun moment in my career to collaborate with musicians I highly respect and push on the musical boundaries of the Guild Wars 2 brand. Thank you for watching. I hope this was informative, if not amusing, and I'll see you next time.